Hi, everyone. You're listening to episode 74 of the Fifth Meeple Board Game Podcast. Thanks so much for inviting us to your table, and happy Thanksgiving. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fifth Meeple Board Game Podcast. We're a group of diverse friends who offer our takes on the latest and greatest board games to hit our table. I'm your host, Daniela, the Goofy Noob, and I am joined today by the Collector.
Hey, this is David.
The Intellectual Introvert.
Hi, everyone. This is Chris.
And the Deluxeifier.
Hello, it's Pete.
All right, everybody, you know the squeaky wheel gets the grease, but the squeaky mouse might just get the marble. Or at least that's the case in our spotlight game today, Trinket Trove. I think I might hear a cat coming, so I'm going to go hide while Chris tells us a bit about the game.
Trinket Trove is a 2 to 6 player card drafting and set collection game that takes you underground, or at least under the floorboards, playing as cute critter collectors endeavoring to decorate your burrow. The deck centers around 112 trinket cards, with 4 dealt to each player at the start. Each card represents an item like a button, a bottle cap, a marble, or a bell, as well as a scoring progression showing how many points you earn based on how many of that trinket you have in your hand at the end of the game. At the start of each round, a number of cards from the deck equal to the number of players are placed separately on the table, face up, with an additional card added to some of those lots depending on player count. In turn order, players then choose one or more cards from their hand to place on the table, creating another lot. Alternatively, they may choose to bid 0 cards, in which case the lot is created using a card from the deck. Starting with the player whose bid lot was the greatest and proceeding downward, players then collect 2 of the available card lots to put back into their hand, with the only restriction being that they cannot take the lot that they bid with. The next round then begins with new lots created and bidding proceeding in the same order as the last round's collection order. After 5 or 6 rounds, the game ends, and players determine their scores based on each trinket's specific scoring rules. The player with the most points wins the game, the remaining players huddle together in shame, and the cheese stands alone. Trinket Trove was designed by Rocco Privatera and was first published in 2025 by Gamehead.
All right, guys, so we have Trinket Trove here. This is a newer game that David has picked up. I think you got that from Origins, right?
Yeah, we actually got it from Paul Solomon, who's one of the leading guys on Gamehead, a new company.
All right, so what is it about Trinket Trove that makes you want to add it to your collection, possibly? David, I know we just did some recordings on our top 15 board games, and this made your number 15, I believe.
Yes, it did make my top 15. It actually replaced Sequence for me as just my go-to game that I like to play a lot. But this is my new kind of cozy. I don't really have to think a lot, but yet I feel like this game, the more I play it, the more layers I actually see that run through it. But I'm going to start by saying that the number one thing when I bring this game out for people that have never played this game is when you're picking your characters. It's kind of like one of those games where it's normally, pick a color, pick something dumb like this, whatever. It doesn't really matter.
I'm always this color.
But
yeah.
for whatever reason in this game, every time I pick open the box, I put down all the little mice you could be. I'm just going to go over their names really quick because they go, if you have a computer, you can look it up yourself, but I just think it's hilarious because everybody always comments like, oh, I want to be this character.
Gouda.
And it's just so weird. Yeah. Gouda's one of them. Bernard, Penfold, Patches, Templeton, Brisby, Nimbus, and the Wander. And it's like the artwork that goes with it. It sets the mood before they even start to play this game. We're going to go collect trinkets now that you have your little mice characters, and I just think it just sets the tone for what this game is. It's a cozy game. It has a little bit of brain power you have to use, but other than that, it's just very streamlined, and the art just sucks you in right from the start.
And I think some of those might be nods to famous mice or rats throughout like pop culture, because like Templeton is the rat from Charlotte's Web, and I think Nimbus, you said, or something,
Secret of Nim.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
another one. So I think that's kind of smart and cute that they did that on the game.
Yeah, the theme, I absolutely adore it. You called it cozy. It definitely is. It reminds me of the animation, makes me think of Disney cartoons, etc. And just the idea of these cute little mice finding what we've left behind, and hey, it's a treasure to them, and it's just delightful, and it really fits well into the game. The theme definitely comes through.
Yeah, looks like the Rescuers Down Under or something like that just kind of takes you back a little nostalgic. And the artwork, it's all very, I would say it's bright but muted. Like the colors are a little bit more matte on it, which is kind of makes it a little bit just to everybody else's comments of being cozy. So But yeah, overall, I think, this another thing I like about this game is this little bidding war that you can kind of get into at the beginning of each round. You only have like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 different rounds that when you're playing it. You got to see with your hand that you're given, do I want to take one of these good cards that if I collect 3, I'm going to do really well on and get a lot of points on, or do I throw that out there hoping to get a better position to bet to be able to get something else out there that I see that I really need. So, you can hold on to all the good cards that you need and think, oh, these are high scoring points, but sometimes it's good to get the feather or something, that is going to score you a lot if you get multiple matches.
Yeah, and I've played this game quite a bit, and I've seen different strategies come to the table, whether it's somebody putting pressure by bidding, more cards, because the bidding mechanism works interesting because in some ways you're giving somebody else points because all those cards count for sets in some way, and a lot of them score points. There are a couple sets in here like crayons and stuff where they actually go down in value till they shoot back up on the board. So I like how they kind of did the set collection because a lot of the different sets, most of them go up over time, but some of them, they're stagnant, and they really make you work for it. But maybe those cards you should use for bidding instead because they have numbers on them. But, overall, I've seen, people go after those big sets that Danielle's talking about, like the seven feather sets and the 7 lure sets. But then I've also seen people just gather a lot of a little bit, and through all those chipping away, somehow they end up with like 220 points at the end instead of like 180 that somebody was just saving up for one big set. So I think there are just different intricacies about it. But you can play this game competitive, but even when you play competitive, it's, I don't know, the artwork just kind of makes it cozy still. It's weird. It's a weird effect. I don't like using that because it's really trendy right now in board games, but for this game, it's just on point.
Yeah, I'm not going to use the word cozy, but this is a game that I had in my shopping cart a couple weeks ago on Amazon. I wanted to bring it into work because I think this is that fits into that time frame of
cozy.
Huh?
No, it's thinky. This is in their thinky line.
This is a thinky line. I think it's good. But it plays 6 people. I think there is a lot of strategy behind it. And there's a little bit of that, take that. And I like the table talk on it. This is one where I don't discourage the table talk, but if I know Chris is going for thimbles or whatever it might be, that kind of gets floated out there. Mm-hmm. The uniqueness of this is when you play your cards down, you put them where your character is, and you're not allowed to take the cards that you put down there. So, Danielle, you said it before, the cards that you're playing out, and you got to play something, you're putting them out there for everybody else. So there's that back and forth, and what can I get rid of? I really, really like that. I don't want to say this is I cut, you choose type game, but in a way it a little bit has that feeling behind it where I have to put something out there, and do I really want to go first? If I do, I'm spending more on my cards. And as David said, those cards, those are currency. The more cards you have, the more potential points you have. So you got to weigh what you want to get rid of, and maybe you just bail on those buttons and start putting them out there because putting them out one at a time or something like that, and then watch Chris try to bring them up, but
never be successful. You said you got to play something. You don't. You can bid 0, but then you're going to the end of the line and you're just getting the dregs, which is probably exactly what you're not going to need. They're going to end up being your bidding cards for the next time. To me, it's an agonizing decision on. I have to decide, am I going to give up something in my hand, which is always something that I want because that's how I play, and then it's just a struggle. And if I don't gather a few cards early, you can use as bidding, then to me you're going to struggle with that balance. But I have yet to win this game, so don't listen to any advice I have on what you need to do because I haven't figured it out yet.
David, if someone wanted to buy this game, what is it currently going for, and where can you purchase it from?
Yeah, so like Pete was saying, it is on Amazon, but it's not like if you have Amazon Prime or something, for whatever reason, it's being sent, I think, from a publisher. So the wait time is still pretty long. It's like a week out, which isn't necessarily normal for a lot of the games on Amazon if you have Amazon Prime. But it's $19.99 right now on Amazon currently. But I was just kind of doing a quick run through, like, a couple of the local board game stores and a couple online board game retailers. and it's going anywhere between $15 and $20 right now. I've seen some sales that's at $14.99, but obviously, it's one of those things where if you're paying shipping on it, then it's probably bumping it up anyways, unless you can bundle things together. So
Pete's stealing it. He's putting it in his bag.
I did not realize it was only $19.99. I wrote that down because I'll probably go get it.
For 112 cards, and that's pretty decent.
Yeah.
15, 20 bucks.
you could probably go find it for $15 from, I think the site right now that it was on for, let's see here, $14.97. You could go get it from Game Nerds. So just bundle it with some stuff, and there you go.
Spend more than you need. All right, so let's talk about some of the things that maybe makes Trinket Trove lose its shine. I think Chris is a little frustrated he hasn't won, but that's okay. He's
I have
good
fun
with
playing
it.
it. It's such a
all right.
fun theme,
Yeah.
and it's quick. I don't have a problem that I haven't lost. I will say, though, if you're someone who wants to have complete control over whether or not you are going to win the game, this is probably not the game for you. There's a luck factor here. There's also a strategy. It's against this. It's in a thinking line, so there is strategy there, but I think there's a decent amount of luck there too, which is appropriate, I think, for the game that it is, but just be okay with that. What cards come out, what cards don't, whether you get what you need and someone else, ended up getting what they needed. You got to be able to deal with that, but it's a quick game, and it's cute and fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would say maybe like the biggest flaw is that, it has 8 characters in here, but somehow you can only play 6. I've never tested it with like 8 people at a table, but there's so many cards that you never really get close to running through all those cards. Maybe you do it with, if you have a max count at 6. I think I've played it at 5.
Yeah.
But even then, the deck that we never got through is pretty thick. So I'm not quite sure why, you can't play it a little bit higher. Maybe just, it takes a little bit longer than they would like you. But that'd probably be my only criticism is that, could it play a little bit higher? Or, one of the things is, can we see more of the cards? Because there isn't really a good way to necessarily move through that deck. Maybe an expansion lets you like just draw 2 off the top, like randomly or something like that. You have a power card that you can just do once around to maybe get some more flavor in there to see more of the deck. I don't know. But I think they could do a lot of different things if they wanted to make it trickier or a little bit more complex. But I know why they didn't. But it'd be cool if each little mouse had a player power maybe that they could do once a game or something like that. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm actually fine with, not going through all the cards because that's part of the challenge. You might be trying to get that 5th or 6th card and you don't know that it's going to come out. So I think that's part of the appeal for me, that there are so many cards and we're playing a hand. We only go through half of the deck. So, that adds to that variability in the game.
Yeah.
Each game's going to be a little bit different. You don't know if, that feather is going to come out or whatever it might be. So I do like that. I really can't think of much I don't like about this game.
It's hard to shuffle all the cards at once. Like
it is
that's,
hard to
yeah,
shuffle
like
all the
you
cards at
can't.
once.
Like
That
you got to
is a good
split it and shuffle it.
I'll give you one, and I'm curious, David, since you played it a lot more, your take on this. I'm not sure I like the mirror cards. I know they're rare, and when they come up, though, I feel like they shift the fate of the game. And sure, everybody can decide whether they go for them or not. You're going to have to pay for it, but I don't know. I feel like the game would be fine without them. I'm not a fan of the mirror cards. You've played a lot more than I have. I don't know.
Yeah, I played a lot more than you have, and I've never had a mirror card yet. So
I haven't
just kinda
seen one.
shows the randomness. There is a rule in the beginning of the game, though. If you have a mirror card in your first 4 cards, you have to deal it back out, like back into the deck, so nobody starts with a mirror card.
So then you're really not getting it.
But so that's why if you see one, the only way to get it is to fight for it through the bidding mechanism. But normally,
but you can't fight for it though. You get one bid, and
you get one
someone
bid,
that knows.
So you
and
got to
so,
bid high if you're in the beginning, and I think that's a little bit of the intricacies of the game is when you set up yourself to be in the last position so that you can see everybody else's bid to see if you really want to go.
Well, my little mouse lip is sticking out. I'm sticking to it. I don't like the mirrors.
All right, so this collection's just about complete, and let's wrap it up. So on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being a 5th Meeple recommendation to buy the game, and 1 being a recommendation to burn it, we're going to go around the table, and I want you to say, where does Trinket Trove rank for you? We're going to start with Pete, 1 to 5. Where are you at?
I usually don't go this high, but I'm going to give this one a 5. I'm actually actively seeking to get this. I think it's going to get to the table. I enjoy it. It's a great game. I talk about going over to my sisters to play. This is going to be another great game to bring out and teach them because they like playing some of these lighter games as well. Mm-hmm. And I think as a filler, it's great. And I think as a palate cleanser at the end of the night or something like that, I think it's just a really great game. It's simple instructions. You can teach it as you're playing it. A couple simple rules. Mm-hmm. After that first play, I think they'll have it all figured out. 5 for me.
All right, David.
Yeah, so it's an interesting story. I know when we had met with Paul from Gamehead, he was telling us they have different lines, and Thinky was their highest line of like, complexity. And I remember playing this because he had demoed it with us, and I was like, oh, I'm like, that's really easy. Like, that's your hard, your thinkiest line. And initially, I would have said I would have rated this game a 4. I think it's moved up to a 5, and obviously, if you listen to our top 15, it's moved up to my number 15 game right now for games that I just want to pull out of my bag. And part of it is the box size is always small, so I could travel with it. I know I can get to the table. I can teach it very easily, and that all kind of accumulates to my rating of a 5. But I also think the more I play this, I notice the intricacies that are actually layered through their bidding system, and that just makes me like this game even more. I do think, like, especially for those of you who want maybe a tip about this game, is in that 5th round, you should probably want to turn your card over to 0 to try to go last, because the 6th round, a lot of times something can happen, but if you're the last one to bid, sometimes holding that power of where the bid is actually powerful. So, in some ways, I like that as I play this game more, I'm finding little nooks and crannies to try to elevate my score even higher, and take out a little bit of the luck factor. Even though there's a lot of luck in it, I think you can mitigate it a little bit. So to me, this game's a 5, especially with the artwork, just a bonus on top. I'll kick it over to Chris.
I am also giving this a 5. In fact, probably when I get home tonight after recording, I'll be hitting the buy button, hoping that it gets here by the time my daughter gets home next weekend. We've had a lot of fun playing this around this table. I think the theme is awesome. The artwork is great. And if things don't go your way, it doesn't overstay its welcome. And so it's no big deal.
Great. For me as well, I think I could actually teach this game, which is a big reason I would vote in this way. But for this small box game, I do think I would love to teach this to family and friends around the holidays. I think they would have a good time playing this, and it's easy enough that people can get it. Maybe they don't understand all the intricacies of it, but I think that's okay for the first couple games and just getting people interested in this type of game. And I think people really would love the artwork and kind of the little fiction that surrounds it. So I think first time I think we've seen 5 across the board for a game.
Wow.
Yeah,
So,
official 5th Meeple seal of approval.
yeah. 5th Meeple seal of approval. It's been a while since we sang that. Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of this mini episode of the 5th Meeple Board Game Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this discussion on Trinket Trove. And if you'd like to get in touch, just email us at thefifthmeeple@gmail.com or reach out to us on social media. Of course, if you like our show, we'd love it if you give us a 5-star review to help us grow. Thanks again for listening. And until next time, remember, one man's garbage is another man's treasure. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Adios, amigos.
You have to dress like an English lord, though.
I gotta see if I got a top hat. I might. I have to think about that one.
Yeah, spoiler alert in case that episode isn't out. But if it is out, awesome.
It is.
Oh, it is out? Okay. Not spoiler alert. No, I'm just going to restart.
Yeah.